Several people asked for some videos of the Camaro. Don't have a whole lot to say about it. Just kidding. I can talk about any car forever. Right foot hard on the gas. I did a burnout. That's not right. Let me roll forward some. Tires are warm now. So left foot hard on the brake, right foot hard on the gas. There we go. Alright, we're going to try to do launch control for you. It's important to remember that launch control does not work if traction control is off. You've got to be in competition mode, which is actually different than off, if that makes any sense. And the reason it's different is because you're in competition mode, so it's naturally going to be ready for that sort of shenanigans. Hopefully this camper will get the fuck out of my way. So, foot hard down, let it build boost, and go. Pretty good. That was a pretty dirty intersection, so as soon as you get into the intersection, obviously you pick up the dirt from the cross traffic and it spins like crazy. But, you know, a little tire chirping never hurt nobody. Yeah, a little sideways action right here. Probably the easiest vehicle I've ever had to hang the back end out. Foot hard on the brake, right foot hard on the gas. Oh yeah. So and if we put it in quiet mode, you hear the little squeak, that's the valve, the butterfly and the exhaust closing, and it got quieter. So I'll do it again for you to listen. So, and here's how it sounds in quiet mode. A lot more reasonable. So let's do a walk around. Ceramic coat is glistening in the sunshine. They kind of messed up the 2019s. I think this front end looks a lot better. They tried to update it and they just kind of ruined it. My buddy Bo gave me these really sweet black center caps, which I think go really well with the black bow tie. But I think it's a great looking car. If I had to be honest, I think the Mustang looks better. But I bought it more for the interior than the exterior, so yep. But it's a good looking car. That's how it sounds in quiet mode. Let's put it in loud. Here's how it sounds at idle and loud mode. Trailer hitch. The only mod I've done, it's bone stock except for the trailer hitch. My back tires are getting a little worn from all the burnouts and being a, you know, degenerate. But it's a pretty good looking machine. Pretty sharp. I love it. I wasn't as crazy about the looks when I first bought it, but it's definitely grown on me. Definitely going to be sad to see it go to get a 2019 or 2020 or C8. But I want the 10-speed transmission, and yeah. Look in here, even all this crap, every option the car has is on a sticker right here. So those are all the option codes. So if you have one of these, you can look in the trunk and there's all your codes. So there's the battery. Batteries in the trunk, sealed AGM glass mat. Kind of annoying to jump people, I've had to do it a few times. But yeah, very pretty car. I like white, not because it's the best looking color, but because it stays cool and the paint lasts a long time and it's easy to maintain white paint. And I think this car actually looks pretty good in white. Easy to get in and out of. It does the thing where when you get in and out of the car, the seat goes back into like an easy exit position. And you can actually set that position custom to your liking. Spin. Oh yeah. So this is a 2016 Camaro SS. It has the 2SS package, which means it's got AC seats and seat memory, and the mirrors point down at the ground in reverse, and all the nice features. So one of the best things about this car is Android Auto, which is in everything. So I'm not going to belabor the point too much, but you can plug your phone in. I made a nice little dock, and you click on Android Auto here, and it gives you all kinds of information. Mine's going to give me Waze, tell me look for cops, because that's important when you're driving a 455 horsepower car. So as far as specs, 455 horsepower, 455 pounds of torque, 8-speed automatic. I got the automatic because I do a lot of highway driving and it gets way better gas mileage, and that was my main thing, was, you know, gas mileage and comfort. but it also is significantly faster 0 to 60 in the quarter mile than the manual because this automatic shifts really fast. So I'll do the quick things I like, things I don't like about the car, and then I'll do a walk around and stuff like that. So things I do like, this is a 0 to 60 timer. It also has 0 to 100, quarter mile, 0 to 100 to 0, and it is a lot of fun. This is where I come do 0 to 60 pulls pretty much every day. So you can come around here, put it in 0 to 60, and it's got an accelerometer where when you launch, oh, the car has launch control. I'll show you that at some point. This, I'm not gonna do launch control, I'm just gonna do manual mode, put in track mode, double tap traction control, that puts it in competitive mode. Let this car go first and get out of my way. PT loser. Despise those cars. So I found the fast way to get this car to 60 is not to use launch control, it's to do it all manually. It has the nice heads-up display, which you probably cannot see with the camera, but it's pretty great. So I like to build up the revs to about 1500 RPMs. When you're ready to launch, you hit select, and now as soon as I go, it'll record the time. So I spun a little bit too much there. Tires are kind of cold, but 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. I've hit 4.3 a bunch of times, 4.2 once or twice. This car is spec'd to do 0 to 60 in 4.1. I'm not sure if that is supposed to include rollout or whatnot. And I'm not sure, I think that was on the stock tires, which are the Goodyear Eagle F1 run flats. These are on the Continentals, DWS. The run flats rode way too stiff, had to get rid of those things. So things I like, love the motor, love the sound, the different modes, changes the color in the interior, you can set custom colors. It also does all these gimmicky things. It makes the exhaust louder. There's two sets of butterflies. The butterflies right by the transmission are more performance, and the ones in the back are pretty much just sound. But those change with different exhaust modes. So when you're in touring mode, it's quiet. When you're in sport mode, they open up sometimes, and when you're in track mode, they're opened up pretty much all the time. So it's really loud and probably the best sounding exhaust to me in a stock car ever. So I love the motor, I love the handling. It's a very sharp car. This is the latest gen, the 6th gen. This is the first year of it in 2016, but they trimmed a lot of weight off and they made it handle really sharp. This car, I mean, I don't claim to be that great of a driver, but this car oversteers so easy. I mean, like, never spun it out before, and I drive it pretty hard pretty much all the time, and it's just very, very predictable. And you know, the traction control, so you can turn it all the way off. I like to leave it in competition mode, which is when you double tap it, which turns it almost completely off. If you hold the button down, the traction control button, for 5 seconds, there we go. Okay, now that's all the way off. No traction control. And this will let you spin donuts in a field as long as you want. It's excellent. You know, you can actually turn the traction control off. That's a thing a lot of, you know, modern cars are lacking, is the ability to really turn off all the aids. But I find that if you just do the double tap and put it in competition mode, it'll let you hang the tail out pretty far, but it'll kind of save you if you get a little too sideways, or it'll save you a lot of times before you get into the other lane or get into a curb or whatever. So that's a really nice feature. Like the traction control, like the engine. I love the interior. It's extremely comfortable. AC seats, nice, good, cold AC. There are some complaints I have about the interior, but I'll get to that in a minute. I'll do my complaints, which there are several. But one of the things I like about this car over the Mustang, I test drove both of them several times, is the interior. This to me has a way more updated, modern, quality looking interior. Ford does a bunch of stuff where they're mixing some high quality products with some low quality products, and the interior of the Mustang, to me, even the latest ones, feels 5-10 years out of date. This interior just looks and feels awesome, and it's, you know, it's 3-4 years old at this point, and it's still very premium, no interior problems, nothing's falling apart, nothing's showing signs of wear. It's very, very nice interior. And I mean, I bought it not to go to the drag strip or anything. I bought it to do, you know, more like grand touring type stuff, go on trips to North Carolina, you know, ride nice roads, stuff like that. And love the handling, love the interior. Now, things I don't like. So I'll start with the interior things. These seats don't recline far enough. For the driver, they're perfect, but when you have a passenger on a road trip that wants to take a nap, that's as far as that seat reclines. It does not go back any farther. Even if you put it forward some, because there's a ton of legroom, it doesn't recline any farther. Also, the back seats are totally useless unless you're a child. Anyone taller than 5'2", your head pretty much touches the roof. And that's because the bottom of these seats is up really high, because the gas tanks are right here on either side. You get your drive shaft and your exhaust in the center, and you got gas tanks here and here. So that's really annoying. Also, as you can see, there's literally zero negative legroom right now. But if you put the seat forward some, legroom isn't as big of an issue for me back there, as is the fact that my head hits the top of it. And yeah, I drive in the back of my car sometimes when I'm, you know, need a DD. So I sit back there sometimes, and it's absolutely miserable. So the back seats, they save you on insurance, but they're totally useless. And these seats don't recline far enough for a passenger to be comfortable on a road trip. Those are the only two gripes I have on the interior. The back seats are a common complaint. I didn't realize this, but this is a bad thing too. Another problem I have with the car in general is it got a lot of road noise. Some people say that it's, you know, the Goodyear run flat tires. I got rid of those. Still had a the ride wasn't as harsh, but still had a ton of road noise. And now these Continentals aren't the quietest tires. They're still pretty grippy. They handle pretty well in corners and everything. You're still pretty low profile. You know, we got 20-inch wheels and everything. But the interior in this car is not as quiet as a Cadillac. And why do I say that Cadillac? Well, because it's pretty much a Cadillac. This is an ATS V with, you know, the CTS-V motor in it. Basically, it shares a ton of components, the bumper supports, suspension. I mean, this car shares a ton of components with the CTS-V and the ATS-V, except that they didn't put as much sound deadening. They got what they call the sports car insulation. I don't know, that's what people refer to it as, but the interior could be quieter at highway speeds. Up to about 70, it's fine, but if you're in this car on the highway going 70, you're an idiot. You know, you should be going 85 and getting somewhere quickly because it's a sports car. And at 85, it's a little too, you know, a little too droney, a little too much road noise. The exhaust in touring mode is silent on the highway. It's not the exhaust, it's actually the road noise. So that's one of my big complaints. I think this transmission, you know, everyone hates it. Everyone complains about the GM 8-speed. And I think in like a truck or something, you know, other than this, it'd be annoying because of how aggressive it shifts. But I really don't mind the aggressive shifts because it's a Camaro and it's loud and it's fast. So I don't know. But I do kind of wish I, you know, had the 10-speed in here just because it's extra gears. And that 10-speed, I've driven it in a Mustang, an F-150, a new Camaro, 6.2 Silverado, and every time I've driven a vehicle with that transmission makes it feel faster. On paper, not that much faster, but the way that thing shifts is like snap, 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 snap. You don't really notice you're going through 10 gears because it shifts so fast. So I do kind of wish I had that transmission. So let's see if we can't catch a red light and do some launch control. People complain about the visibility a lot. It's a non-issue for me. I got used to it after driving this car for like an hour. I think the visibility is pretty much fine. I really don't see why that's that big of a deal for people. I guess people who just can't drive were the shit. With the backup camera and the blind spot monitoring, I mean, visibility is pretty much a non-issue. Like it's a lot of fun to drive like a jackass, that's for sure. I'm gonna ask, the radar detector is going off right now. Is a Uniden DFR7, and I really like that radar detector. Highly recommend it. It saved me a lot of money. It's got built-in GPS, so it knows the speed, so it can quiet itself down when you're going under the speed limit. It knows GPS, so it knows where the red light cameras are, and it's just an overall great radar detector. I think I paid less than 200 bucks for it, so it's paid for itself many times. It's got a nice little USB port here, and it's got a mute system where when you double tap it, it'll remember the location, remember the frequency, and if you drive by, you know, a radar sign every day on the way to work, it'll light up, it'll give you the warning, but it won't make the noise and annoy you. So I really like that feature. Enough about that. Also, it's got a hitch on it. I've towed four-wheelers with this thing. I've towed motorcycles, dirt bikes, you know, all the way to the beach in Pensacola, no problem. So, you know, it's got a truck motor and a truck transmission, and it might as well be able to tow, in my opinion. It's not rated to tow anything, but it does a fine job. So we'll put it in track mode here, and I'll let you hear the exhaust when we get on this on-ramp. It's going to be a little highway blast for you. But yeah, so I don't, you know, I like almost everything about the car, except for the fact that it's got the sports car issues that every other sports car has. The motor, for being a 2-valve per cylinder, you know, push rod motor, it's got the variable cylinder management type stuff. They call it active fuel management or whatever. That's their gimmick, but it just sips gas. Very efficient, very smooth, very quiet. Love the motor. The transmission is just a little bit dim-witted, so we're gonna go into manual mode here. I'm not sure if you can hear the exhaust over the wind noise with this camera, but it sounds phenomenal. So if you're cruising at like 60 and you want to pull onto the highway as fast as humanly possible, all you have to do is hold down the negative switch and it'll shift into the lowest gear. I don't see any cops on way, so hold it down, it'll shift into third, and launch, baby, woo! So,
watch out,
There's a little 60 to 90 pull for you. So we're in 8th gear, and like I said, so if you want to pass someone or you're cruising, you want to launch, don't hit the negative 20 times. Just hold it down for a couple seconds. Not even, it might even be, I think it's about 2 seconds. You hold it down, it'll drop it into the lowest gear available without over revving the motor for you, and then just put your foot down and you're gone. I've had this car up to, I think my record is 165 miles an hour. A couple people have said it'll do 180. Some people have some videos of it doing close to that on YouTube, which is pretty impressive for, you know, the value. It's not that expensive of a car. This one kind of is because it's the 2SS, so you're looking like 60 grand. But you can get the base SS, the 1SS, a lot cheaper. And you know, everyone compares it to the Mustang. Obviously, that's its competition. The Dodge is a little too heavy and a little too terrible handling and a little too big to really be competitive in anything but a straight line. So the Mustang, test drove it both ways. My friend has one. The Mustang revs out higher. It's a little more exciting towards the top of the rev range. And I think honestly, if his was an automatic, I think it'd be faster than mine. But with the automatic, I'm a little faster just because you cannot shift as fast as a modern automatic transmission. I don't care who you are. They've done videos of this car at the drag strip with a professional driver in a manual and some rookie chick in an automatic, and the rookie chick wins the quarter mile 0 to 60 every time. So you just can't outshift this transmission, especially with the new 10-speed. So, you know, performance-wise, it's excellent. And compared to the Mustang, I think this handles better. That's totally, you know, what you're used to driving is totally subjective. I like the handling in this better. I like the interior, which is totally subjective. So you really get hate on the Mustang, guys. And the latest generation of the Mustang looks amazing and is really impressive. Like most of the older Mustangs before this latest 5.0, I would never even compare that to this car. There's just no comparison. I do think this has an objectively better interior, but like I said, it's not really an objective thing. You might like the Mustang interior better. To me, this just has a better layout, better gauges, better display, better radio. You know, totally my opinion. So this is usually there's no traffic on this road and we can haul ass, and I should get a chance to show you launch control. So for launch control, you have to be in either sport or track mode, and you have to enter competition mode by double tapping traction control. So StabiliTrak competition mode. So now once we got both those lights on, we can use launch control. So launch control, you have to be at a complete stop. You have to have the steering wheel straight. You have to put your foot, left foot hard on the brake, and then right foot, swiftly push the gas pedal all the way to the ground. That will engage launch control. And as soon as you let off the brake, it'll do its best to get you, you know, to whatever speed you want to go before you let off. I found that launch control is a little too conservative. It doesn't want to spin the tires. It tries to save your tires, basically. And in my opinion, not in my opinion, I mean, with me driving, I can definitely get it to 60 faster using manual mode with traction control off. But I do burn a little bit more rubber, which is fine for me. A decently light foot, and you really don't get on full throttle until the very end of first gear and then in second gear. Also, the way this transmission's gears are split, if you want to just run to 60 miles an hour, don't shift into third. Just let it run into the rev limiter. The rev limiter is right at 6,500 RPMs. Everyone knows this motor can turn 7,000 RPM stock, no problem. So if you're gonna run a 0 to 60 and you're just worried about getting to 60, I don't even shift to third. I just let it bounce off the rev limiter because you hit 60 at 6,450 RPMs in second gear. At least that's what it seems like. So if you're trying to get your 0 to 60 time up, that's a good way. Some other advice, if you're trying to do 0 to 60 times, depending on how sticky the road is or how warm your tires are, I generally launch between 1,500 and 1,700 RPMs. If it's wet or cold or a really shitty road, I'll launch at 1,200 RPMs. So, you know, build up a little bit stall on the torque converter, build it up, and then when you take off first gear, you just want to feather it to where you're getting just a small amount of wheel spin and the car is pointing straight forward the whole time. The minute you start to fishtail a little bit, you just gave away a lot of time. So you want to be pointing straight forward the whole time. A little bit of wheel spin's okay as long as you're not sliding around, and then shift into second gear, and pretty much not immediately after going to second gear, but just like a split second after, you can almost go full throttle if you're on sticky tires on a sticky road, and then just keep it buried through second gear and let it run into the rev limiter in second gear, and that's going to be your best 0 to 60 time. Every time I've got 4.1 seconds, which is this car's rated 0 to 60, I was in manual track mode, competition mode, and I just let it run into the rev limiter, and didn't even shift into third. And you, right as you hit the rev limiter, you hit 60 miles an hour. So you don't waste any time with that shift. This thing does shift fast, but it doesn't shift as fast as double clutch, or really as fast as that new 10-speed. And that new 10-speed, everyone calls it like a GM Ford collaboration. I don't really buy it. I'm sure one of them really built it, the other one bought it. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but from all accounts and my experience, it's an excellent transmission. So I'm trying to buy something with that transmission very soon because I need it in my life. So this new camera is a feature where you have a front screen for this kind of stuff, which is interesting. So in summary, I like the fact that it's got an old school V8, doesn't have dual overhead cam, doesn't have overhead cam at all. I like that there's loads of torque. I like the noise. The engine's great. I love all the LS, all the LT engines. They flow great. They're reliable. They're efficient. They're just freaking awesome. I like how fast it is. I like the handling. I like most of the interior. I like the looks for the most part. What I don't like, road noise. First of all, that's like the major thing. The second thing is probably the seats not going back far enough for the passenger when you're trying to take a nap. The third thing is probably the back seats being useless for anyone over 5'4", or who has legs. If you have a tall person in the front, you cannot have someone in the back. And the last thing I hate is the transmission. It's not really a deal breaker for me. I don't mind hard shifts, and I'm in manual mode most of the time, so I don't mind the lazy shifts because they don't happen in manual mode. And it is a good performing transmission. I mean, it gets this you know, old school push rod engine car, whatever, just rear-wheel drive. It doesn't have real, you know, sticky all-wheel drive or anything. Gets it to 60 in about 4 seconds, 4.1 seconds. So really can't complain about the transmission performance-wise too much. So those are the 4 things I don't like about it. I love everything else, but I'll probably upgrade pretty soon because of those 4 things. So here's a GT. We just went by. Don't want none. No, the GTs are very fast. The whatever, the Ford 5.0 Coyote motor, whatever they call it. Probably a faster motor, but ironically, this big lazy pushrod V8 is more efficient and sounds better. And you know, it doesn't have to rev as high to make its power. So in my opinion, it'll probably last longer. The jury's still out on that though. This LT10's only been out since 2016, or LT1. That's what's in this car. This motor is very similar to what's going to be in the new C8. The C8 is going to have dry sump, but it's going to have different exhaust and intake and stuff, so it'll make some more power. But I'm excited that it's going to have this old school V8 in it because that's what I really like. There's a good layout of the dash, so I'll give you a little demo of the performance things it has. That's 0 to 60 mode. That's what we just ran. 0 to 100, quarter mile, 0 to 100 to 0. Performance timer, lap timer, oil temperature, pro pressure, trans fluid, G's, bubble, which is G's forward, back, side to side. And there's that again. You can also totally change all of these displays if you feel so inclined. So I've got it on technology right now, so we can go over to media and you can see how it'll change. Okay, this is a big touchscreen. It's a big, not touchscreen, but big screen basically. It's standard, it looks old school. I definitely prefer technology. It gives me the most room in the center. Turn those lights off for you. So we'll put it in touring mode for the car wash, and you can see that these lights will all change. The backlit color will change. There's lights in here, there's lights there. Show you the light modes. So here's all the lighting you can do. You can change it to link to drive mode or all these colors. Very cool. It's also really good about giving you settings for everything. So you go to drive mode, engine sound management. You can put it in stealth, sport, touring, track. You can lock it wherever you want. You can also change the steering. I leave steering in touring mode, or you can have it change automatically. A lot of cool stuff there. You go to vehicle, you can change, you know, when your AC seats turn on automatically, how long your lights stay on outside the car. Chevy does a really good job. Remote start, auto cool, auto warm seats, everything. I mean, any setting you want, it's got the settings for it, and I really like how much you can customize it. So here's like a better look at the interior, a little up close. I just love the interior. It's a little bit of like a cockpit, but still not making you feel claustrophobic and everything. I turned these on green on accident. Let me see if you can see the heads-up display. So yeah, you can actually see it on the phone. Let me turn the brightness up so it's even more apparent. So that's the heads-up display. You can put different information up there. So right now I've got like the performance screen, but you can also do just a speedometer. You can do your radio, your compass, or performance with a tachometer, gear, and lateral G's and everything. Heads-up display is very cool. Heated steering wheel, that's useless in Florida. You got controls here, controls here for that screen, phone controls. Android Auto is awesome, but I can't show you because my phone's not plugged into the dock. This car does not have wireless Android Auto. Speed radar detector, kind of a must-have. But you know, the AC seats, I mean, you can just feel air coming out of these holes, and it is just great. I mean, the AC seats is one of the nicest things on this car, and one of the reasons I really, really wanted it, because I had a rental car, a Cadillac with AC seats, and I was like, man, these things are great. So I need to get a truck with them now too. Electric parking brake, kind of lame, but you don't really need the handbrake to kick the back end out on this car because it's got a 6.2 liter V8, so no problem there. It's your mode selector, so it kind of picks your driving mode, pick your gimmick if you will, but no, it actually makes a difference. Changes the shift points, changes the torque curves and stuff, the throttle response, changes the exhaust sound, changes the steering feel. So these modes do actually do something: snow, track, sport, touring. These vents are cool. These dials are actually how you select the temperature. I really like that. They feel very premium. You can shut them. Kind of, I don't know, airplane looking exhaust ducts, a turbine or something. The auto actually works pretty good. Most auto AC drives me nuts, but in this car I kind of like it, and I use it most of the time. Leave it in auto. Sound system's really good. I don't have my phone hooked up, but yeah, the radio sounds like crap, just because it's radio, but you plug your phone in. Actually, the Bose sound system on the 2SS is very nice. Yeah, which brings me to another point. I got a ceramic coat on this car recently, very premium ceramic coat. The car's been parked outside, you know, most of the time I've had it, and I really wanted to get the paint looking nice and shiny again. And ceramic coat did a really good job, and it makes it really easy to clean. Like, this is a really cheap, very light touch car wash, very soft touch, and it'll come out of here looking spotless because of the ceramic coat. The windows are ceramic coated, everything. The interior. I thought the ceramic coating was kind of a scam, but it's got a 5-year warranty on it, and it looks better than a wax, and it lasts longer, so pretty hard to beat.